Let's talk about These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Hey guys, I'm Marlene and welcome back to my channel for the second book review of 2023. So as I mentioned in my previous book review video, I will be rating books based on specific categories and then giving them an average rating based on that. So let me introduce you to these categories first. So the first category is plot. So this is really the actual storyline of the book. Do I think that it's a good story or plot? Then the second category is romance, because most of the books, if not all of the books I read, do have some romance in them, and that's something that I really enjoy in a book, so I'm definitely gonna be looking out for that and rating that. Next up is characters. So this is very, very important. Are your characters engaging? Are they likable? And are they strong enough to carry the story? Then there's pacing, also very important. How is everything spaced out through the book? Does the pacing work in terms of the story and what the reader is supposed to be feeling? Then writing style, just, objectively, is this written well or not? And then finally, enjoyment, because I think that is ultimately the point of a book, is that readers should enjoy it. And so just my overall, did I like reading this book kind of thing, did it grip me? And then from that, an average score. So now without further ado, let's look at These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. So this is a young adult fantasy romance adventure book. And I'm just quickly going to read you my little synopsis of the story. So when Bree's sister is sold to the Unseelie court, Bree heads into the ruthless Fae world to get her back. To win her sister's freedom, she makes a deal with the conniving Unseelie king and infiltrates the Seelie court undercover as a potential bride for the Seelie prince. However, the Seelie prince is everything but what she expects, and her heart soon complicates her mission. And then there's the mysterious and sexy Finn, the prince who should actually wear the Unseelie crown. So that's not the official blurb or anything, that's literally just my description of what this book is about. So let's look at plot first. So the plot of this book is most of the actual plot and what the book is about is quite predictable, and it's not very original. There's nothing absolutely groundbreaking about this book. It's, Fae world, Seelie court, Unseelie court, war, two princes. It's just kind of what you'd expect from this kind of book. There's a love triangle, which, love it or hate it, but it's there. And then I think that there was not enough attention paid to kind of the main plot or the main point. The fact that her sister is missing and she's trying to get her back kind of really falls into the background, whereas that's actually the premise of the plot. But then it's very good at keeping the tension. It keeps you wondering until the very end, which is really, really good for the plot. And so overall, I'd give the plot 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then the romance. So, like I said, it's a love triangle. There are two romantic interests. And because you kind of remain wary and suspicious of both of them, you don't know whose intentions are pure. It's difficult to get 100% into the romance, because you always have this kind of nagging voice in the back of your head, but I don't know if I can trust him. Is this real? Is this not? And so it prevents you from getting into the romance as 100%, but it is a good story. So I really enjoyed her relationship with the Seelie prince, Bree's relationship with the Seelie prince. I think that it's very believable, and it has enough development. It has conflict and its ups and downs, and it's a very interesting, complicated relationship, but you feel the feelings there. And so that was a really great relationship, in my opinion. I feel like it's sweet and sexy and romantic, and it's a decent romance to read. Her relationship with Finn is the more interesting one, I think, but I don't think there's enough development. It does kind of move very quickly and is kind of an insta-lust, insta-love kind of vibe. So I think it would have been nice to just have a bit more development, have a bit more of a slow burn situation with Finn, because I think he is ultimately the more interesting character. It's not particularly steamy, you know, it is a young adult book, but there are some sexy scenes and they're decent enough. So I would give the romance also 3.5 out of 5. Then there's the characters. So the main character, Bree, is very likable. It's an easy point of view to follow because she has clear motivations and she's not kind of ditzy or stupid or whatever. She doesn't just believe everything she hears, and she is determined and does whatever needs to be done. So I actually quite enjoyed the main character, which is oddly rare in young adult fantasy. The Seelie Prince, and there's a reason I'm not saying his name, by the way. I don't want to have any spoilers in here, but the Seelie Prince is a very interesting, complex character, and his motivations are never 100% clear. So I find him very interesting, and I think it's great when you have a character that's kind of like a puzzle you're almost trying to figure out, and that's definitely the case with the Seelie Prince, which is it's great. He's really a cool character. Then Finn has this kind of group of, I want to say, misfits. I don't know if that's an accurate description, but this group of friends, and I really, really liked them, but I think once again that we didn't get enough time with them. We needed much more development of their personalities and their dynamics, because it's quite an interesting dynamic, and they have interesting backgrounds and things, and they kind of suddenly become great friends to Bree, but I don't think there's enough development of that, and yeah, I just think we could have gotten more of that group. Finn is a fun, intriguing character, so you kind of get the Rhysand vibes from him, but he is a little different to that, and I quite enjoy that. But once again, I just think there was way too little of him in this book. I need more explanation of his background. I need a little bit more insight into his motivations and things like that. I think if we'd gotten a bit more of Finn, the book would have been elevated, the whole book. What I liked very much about the characters in this book is that none of the characters are wholly good or wholly bad. So they're definitely, I wouldn't say necessarily morally grey, but it's not like you have characters who like always make good decisions and everything they do is for the greater good, versus other characters who are only evil and only ever do things for their own gain. You can understand everyone's actions and you never kind of know which way it's going to go, and I think that is really, really good writing. So for the characters, I'm going to give this book a 4.5 out of 5. Then pacing. So the pacing in this book, I think, is its biggest weakness. The beginning is very slow. Not much happens, and there aren't many reveals. You don't really know don't know what's happening, but you don't really know like what's the point of this book. And then close to the end, all of the reveals and like plot twists and the climax and everything is kind of squished into the ending. So the climax is also over very quickly, and there's not enough like hardship for the heroine, I think. And then also like I said, her relationship with Finn and with his friends is very, very rushed, as well as her sister's rescue is over like this, and that's supposedly the main conflict of this book, but it doesn't get a lot of attention at all. So yeah, the pacing of this book is probably its biggest letdown, and so I'm gonna score that 2.5 out of 5. Then the writing style is good. I mean, you can forget that you're reading and just kind of be immersed in the story, which is the point of good writing. That's good writing. But there's nothing special about it. It doesn't stand out as an like incredibly well written book, but it's good. And so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Then overall enjoyment. The beginning of the book, I didn't really know if this was my kind of story. I was still trying to figure it out. I was kind of like, maybe this is a bit too young for me. Yeah, the beginning was kind of like, okay, well, when is it going to come? When is the story going to come? But then from page 50 onwards, I honestly read it in one sitting. And so even with all of the criticism and stuff that I gave this book, I really, really enjoyed it. It kept me hooked, and it was just a fun time to read it. And so I'm also going to give that a 4 out of 5. Not a 5, just because the beginning was a bit slow. So that means that in the end, These Hollow Vows gets a 3.7 out of 5 from me. And I would really recommend this book for people who enjoy young adult romance and who kind of want to know what they're going to get. Not looking for anything necessarily groundbreaking, but you know what kind of story you like and you want to read a story like that, and you want a love triangle in the Fae world. This is a good read for you. Also, if you do like fantasy adventure with heaps of romance, then To Wear a Crown might be for you. The link to get your own copy is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed that book review. If you've read These Hollow Vows or you're going to go read it now, leave a comment below telling me what you thought about the book. Remember to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell so you never miss an update. I post writing advice videos and vlogs every Wednesday and a book review every Friday. You can also find me on my website, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and TikTok. All the links are listed below, and then I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.